Time to escape that room again. Hi guys, it's True here, bringing you another True review, and today is your toy on the Xbox One. This is a North American version, priced at $14.99, and there's no current release for European regions, unfortunately, but fingers crossed we'll see it soon. So your toy is an escape room game which explores do toys have souls, which is an unusual concept. You play as an unnamed character. You wake up in a very dirty toilet cubicle, which you swiftly escape from into the bigger surroundings of the bathroom. And the majority of the game's runtime you will spend in this single room. Now you may think, well, there's not an awful lot you can do in a room, but they've actually constructed a rather excellent series of puzzles. They all tend to flow within one another. You don't really get stuck at any point. You feel a bit of sense of accomplishment when you figure out what you have to do, and there's a surprising amount to interact with, and a surprising lot of spookiness going on in this very, very small room. I mean, by the time you actually escape the room, you will have done laps around this room, a good amount of times, and you're just surprised at how much they fitted into this one very small location. I mean, without divulging any of the puzzle solutions, believe me, whether the game just leads you from one puzzle to the next in a way that's very accomplished, because it uses audio and visual clues. Like you may hear the bubbling of water to signify something's filled up, and you may need to have to plunge the sink to reveal some extra items. And there's all these visual and audio clues throughout this the entire game's runtime, which unfortunately is very short. That's one of the big negatives of this title, unfortunately. So after solving a good number of puzzles in this very, very small location, you do get introduced to the game's antagonist, and this is probably the game's weakest aspect. No offense to the designers of this adversary, but it is comical. It is a giant teddy bear, and I couldn't get the image out of my head that it looked like two slices of bread that not being fully sliced. You'll see what I mean from the visual footage that I'll be putting on the screen, but I couldn't take the only adversary in this game very, very seriously. I just laughed out loud when I first saw it, but it doesn't really detract. Really, it kind of inadvertently adds a bit of light relief to what is a pretty grimy and sorry situation that the game's character finds himself in. Anyway, after an encounter with this disgruntled teddy bear, you do finally escape the room, and that is where the game tends to go a little bit downhill. There's a little interlinking location where you go through some caves and into an inverted bedroom, but this section's all too brief, to be honest with you, before you enter the game's second main location, which is the bedroom proper. This is where the puzzles aren't as strong. I did get quite stuck in these areas because it relies on you finding certain bits of information on items which you wouldn't have thought of looking for. There's also the issue of there's a phone number to dial at one point as well, but depending on obviously which country you're playing in, I myself didn't recognise it as a phone number. But obviously, depending on where you live in the world, you may indeed recognise it as a phone number, and the puzzle's very simple. But for me, it didn't click immediately, so I was left fumbling around for quite some time there. Like I said, the second location is a lot smaller than the first, and the puzzles just don't seem to run into one another very, very well. But you're not in there very long, really. And like I said, the game's main runtime is the bathroom, and after the bedroom, you do actually go back there to get to the game's conclusion. I mean, overall, though, it is a rather enjoyable but short adventure. The story's not up to much, and they've taken the wise decision of not doing any voice acting, which is better, really, because if you can't do it well. Don't do it. Just go for text, and it works to its advantage on this occasion. But overall, I really enjoyed this. I mean, the achievements on the game are pretty straightforward and easy to get. There's a lot of story progression ones, and there is a handful of ones where you have to accomplish a task on the first attempt. Sadly, there was a few glitches with 3 of the achievements on my playthroughs of the game. I had to do multiple playthroughs because certain achievements wouldn't unlock for me. Fortunately, on the second time of playing through, they unlocked perfectly fine, but maybe that's just a temporary issue I experienced, but just be aware of that. But as I say, overall, it's a really enjoyable game, and probably the best one that's come out of China. It's certainly better than Dying Reborn, which we had a few weeks ago. The major issue I have with it is the runtime against the price. I think $14.99 is a little bit too much for this. I mean, it might be me just being a little bit tight on the old purse strings, but I would have liked to have seen it at $9.99 personally for the very short runtime, and especially since there's no replayable value in this as well, and no alternate endings. It is a very linear game, but good stuff. Really enjoyable, and the laugh out loud moment at seeing the teddy bear, you could say is probably worth the price alone. So I'm going to give Your Toy a rating over wait for a sale. I'm sure it will come in a sale sooner or later. I would just hold off on it really, because the hour of gameplay that it does offer you could be a little bit cheaper. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and most importantly, share the video and spread the word about the channel. It really does help me enormously, and thanks for watching, and thanks for your continued support as always.